and the ability for large-scale, long-life, low-cost projects anywhere and around the world is a key attraction. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Bill and the entire Pay Dirt team for putting on the event. I first attended my first Australian nickel conference about 20 years ago as a geologist helping manage the small RAV8 underground nickel sulphide mine, and sort of back then I attended the event and it was a big sponge, sort of learning from all my peers and all the presentations, so it's an absolute pleasure to be here today. And certainly I think we'd all agree the challenges facing the Australian nickel sector have been grossly exaggerated, and the sector's very much alive and well and has a fantastic history and an outstanding future. Just a standard disclaimer. So just to start with Ardea, we've got a terrific team. A number of my colleagues are here today at tables 2 and 8. We maintain a very tight capital structure, under 200 million shares on issue for a company that first listed in February 2017. Some very supportive shareholders, some of whom have made the effort to join us here today. We acknowledge and very much appreciate your support, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do as an organisation. So thanks very much to all of our shareholders and stakeholders. Our board and management very much aligned with all our shareholders. We hold about 10% of the shares in the company. Our current market cap, in a challenging market, particularly for the nickel sector and the critical minerals sector in general, it's been hit hard. So about $90 million at present. We're debt-free, strong cash position, and most importantly, we're collaborating with Sumitomo Metal Mining and Mitsubishi Corporation to complete a definitive feasibility study on our Goongarrie Hub, and the budget for the DFS is $98.5 million, being fully funded by the consortium, contrasted against our current market cap of about 90 million. So quite simply, you can see a see-through value there. If the consortium are earning a 35% interest in just the Goongarrie Hub alone, the see-through value for Ardea on an incredibly conservative basis is about 300 million. Bit more on the projects. Our Goongarrie Hub tenements are all highlighted here in green, and that's the subject of the joint venture with the consortium. They host about 4 million tonnes that contain nickel, and there's an ore reserve there of some 1.3 million tonnes that contain nickel, but that's assessing only 6 of 9 deposits. That's underpinned a 40-year mine life, and we expect the project to be going well in excess of that. The tenements in red host another 2 million tonnes that contain nickel and are retained 100% by Ardea. The key point is our location in the eastern goldfields of Western Australia, and the Goongarrie Hub's only 70 kilometres northwest of the city of Kalgoorlie, Boulder. So the support from the local community, the access to skilled service providers, the ability for our local team to work from our West Kalgoorlie office, get to site and integrate with the community is second to none, and that's enabled by the infrastructure such as road and rail passing directly through our mining leases at Goongarrie. So we completed a PFS on the Goongarrie Hub on the 5th of July last year. I mentioned the 40-year ore reserve, and that was a large part of the due diligence process undertaken by the consortium evaluating that project, and the ability for large-scale, long-life, low-cost projects anywhere and around the world is a key attraction, and that's the key asset that we have with the Goongarrie Hub. It's the ability to be able to operate throughout the commodity price cycle. Our PFS demonstrated bottom cost quartile operating cost. So based on work by Benchmark Mineral Intelligence, the current OPEX out of operators within Indonesia is between $5,000 US and $15,000 US, allowing for our cobalt byproduct credit. Our C1 OPEX is about $6,000 US, and on a nickel-only basis, it's about $10,000 US. So we can be cost competitive with our international peers, and that comes on to the comment about the death and the challenge of the Australian nickel sector. It's very much alive and well. Then some of the figures in the bottom right indicate that last year the majority of the world's nickel production was from laterites, about 78%, with the remaining 22% from nickel sulphide sources. There's a lot of discussion about sulphides and laterites. In our opinion, all nickel resources will need to be developed to provide the future supply that the world needs as part of the ongoing energy transition. A little bit more about our collaboration with Sumitomo Metal Mining and Mitsubishi Corporation. So we're starting with the DFS and the budget of $98.5 million. That will get the consortium a 35% interest in the Goongarrie Hub. Their final 15% to move to a 50% interest is made upon a final investment decision being made. And what that means is that all the project development debt is secured, all the approvals are in place, and we're going to push the button to start project development. So the DFS is expected to be concluded in the December quarter of 2025, and then we will have a detailed front-end engineering and design and pre-commitment activities phase to put in place enabling infrastructure, order long lead items, and that's all part of the project development CapEx that was defined, but it helps enable us to develop the project on time and within budget. We've seen several critical minerals projects rush into production. They've done a DFS, and for market reasons or other reasons, they've pushed forward without the feed phase. We feel the feed phase is integral to being able to do what we say we will and deliver on time and within budget. The DFS underway, so it's been managed by Ardea's wholly owned subsidiary Kalgoorlie Nickel Proprietary Limited. A number of team members from KNPL are here today. KNPL's growing very quickly. There's currently 35 employees involved in delivering the definitive feasibility study. So please introduce yourselves to our colleagues from KNPL, and it's the consortium earning a 50% interest in KNPL. We've got 2 drill rigs operating on site at the moment on infill resource definition drilling, hydrogeology. We've got metallurgical test work underway, and we're continuing to accelerate multiple definitive feasibility study activities. So there'll be strong news flow over the course of the next 12 months as we move towards concluding that work stream. A little bit now on the nickel market. There's plenty of experts in this room, but currently there is excess supply, but the demand for nickel and the fundamentals behind nickel remain. And this graph shows that the nickel market is expected to move back into deficit from about 2028, and we're expected to see a strong price response so that by the time we are in production in 2029, the market will be in deficit, the nickel price will be increasing. So I think our timing to production is absolutely perfect. You know, unfortunately, we've seen thousands of jobs shed within the nickel sector this year in Australia, and also iron ore and lithium. We, being Ardea and KNPL, we're more than happy to give people opportunities. We will be expanding as a company, but it's a good time to be doing that work without the heated price environment that we sometimes see in Western Australia. And as recently as 2 years ago, if you had a heartbeat, you could get a job in the resources sector. But you know that's changing. So now's the perfect time to be developing and moving our project forward. And just these figures highlight that the rapid growth, particularly from electric vehicles and energy storage. So see the nickel market dominated by the stainless steel sector historically, but increasingly we're going to see the lithium-ion battery space play an increasingly important role, and that's emphasised by a lot of the nickel, cobalt, manganese cathode chemistries going to higher and higher nickel. You know, it used to be 60% nickel, then 80% nickel, now most commonly 90% nickel. And that underpins the growing demand and the positive outlook for the nickel sector. So we're going to need everyone in this room, every nickel resource in Australia to be developed to help meet the energy transition. You can see the demand, particularly from 2025, 2030 onwards, which really, from a resources sector perspective, it's a short time frame. So our timing is absolutely perfect. So just in closing, I'm really keen to hear the panel discussions and really interested to hear a lot of the questions that come from the room. But just in closing, so just with the Goongarrie Hub alone, 40-year ore reserve, and as I mentioned, we're only assessing 6 or 9 deposits in the DFS. So in reality, we expect this operation to be going well in excess of 50 years and certainly a lot longer than I will be. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to provide opportunities for all local stakeholders, and we're also going to be a strong contributor to both the local, state and federal economies. So, and importantly, it's the Australian ability to meet the highest operating standards in the world. So our nickel is always going to be bought in preference to nickel from other jurisdictions that don't meet the same high standards. There's going to be discussion later on today. Will we see a bifurcation in the market? Will we see a green premium? Hopefully we will. We don't need one. We would certainly welcome one. But yeah, just in closing, we are developing Australia's next large-scale, low-cost, long-life operation. Thanks very much for your time and enjoy the rest of the event.